Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Art by Art with Simran. So I know that it sounds like a weird name, Art by Art with Simran. So let me explain. It's like part by part, but like because we're going to talk about art, so it's art by art. Uh, Anyways, moving on, I am sure you'll get the understand the context of it as we move ahead in this podcast or slash long video or just anything you want to call it. So, what are we going to do today? We are going to first, and of course, the only thing that we are going to do today is discuss the challenges that you are facing as an artist or art business owner. So, I had asked of your challenges, on Instagram, and some of you had sent your queries, your challenges, and they really, really took out the time to write it in depth, which is actually what the purpose of this podcast is. So I thought I will come here and share that with you. Also, this is the first time that I'm doing like a full face video on YouTube. Like, I mean, the entire length, it's going to be just me talking. So yeah, bear with me, and this is my first time, so I'm a little bit I'll not say nervous, but I don't know. So yeah, bear with me. In no ways this is like an entertainment sort of video, definitely not. We're just going to discuss your challenges. Yes, very, very important. I'm not going to give out any advice in this podcast. I'm going to share my perspective. If What would have I done if I would have been in your place, and just my first initial thoughts. So, in no way I'm going to give out any advice. And if I do, please feel free to call me out because I don't want to be another Gyani Baba on YouTube or Instagram or wherever. So yeah, like I said, this is the first time that I'm doing it, so it's a bit awkward to look into the camera and talk like it's not like a conversation with a person right away, because I cannot see your face. So what I've done is I have just made some few notes so that I don't start blabbering and digress from the topic, which is quite possible. So I've just kind of put together a loose structure, but I'm going to mostly talk freely and whatever comes to my mind. So yeah, you are going to get an unfiltered version of me, which of course you usually also do. So yeah, and the other thing is, okay, one more thing. I don't want you to comment on how I look or how many dark circles I have or shit like that, because dude, this is a conversation we are having, right? I don't need to know about how I look, and I really don't care about it. So yeah. All right, see, I told you you're going to get my unfiltered version. So, and I am blabbering. Ugh. Anyways, so yeah, let's get started. So okay, uh, please ignore the noise in the background. I'm sorry, I can't do anything about it right now, apart from just praying that they stop. All right, so what is the purpose of starting this podcast or whatever it is? So in my last Instagram live, I had conversation with 3 people, and those were like amazing conversations. I really, really enjoyed. All 3 of them shared their art journey, the challenges that they are facing, the questions that they have, the points where they are stuck at, and it was so interesting for me to understand their perspective, share my opinion, and have a good healthy discussion. So that got me thinking, acha, how can I do more of this? Like, how can I have more of these conversations? So I thought I'll ask you guys directly to come up or to share your challenges, whatever you face. And yeah, I got a few questions, and we are going to discuss them today. So that's the only purpose. Also, I named this podcast series Art by Art with Simran. So basically, I'll give you more context now. It's like I'm going to try and dissect your problem part by part, but it's going to be art related. So it's art by art. I hope now you get it. And yeah, I think like I was not even looking in the camera all this while. Uh, let I think I should just go and check once. Let me see. All right, so yeah, the camera was working just fine, but it's always good to check. Anyways, let's move on to the questions. Okay, so question number one is by Rahima. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. So she's asked, as a business owner, while pricing a work, we know that what is the value of that artwork we did, but the buyer sometimes negotiates us the pricing, saying it's too expensive for them. But I think devaluing the artwork isn't a good option. What do you think about it? How it should be handled? Because at the end, we want to sell. So, first of all, my first opinion is that I think that this is a question of clarity in terms of who your target audience is. Like, who are these people who you want to sell to? Because I mean, there are always going to be people who are going to find your services expensive no matter what, right? So, who are the people that you really want to sell to? And find those and pitch your artwork to them, and yeah, take it from there. Like, take your inferences from there, and then accordingly manage your pricing. The second thing that I feel is, because you have mentioned that devaluing the artwork isn't a good option. Okay, so this is my personal opinion. I think that artists get really attached to their work, and I mean, for any artist, their work is priceless, right? So, but what happens is when you get attached to your artwork, it becomes really difficult to sell. You expect the other person who wants to buy it to also look at it with the same affection and with the same passion that you created it. Of course, it's not the wrong expectation, but I would say that to the level that with which you created it, probably not. And especially when you are trying to make money out of your art, right? So for example, like popular artists, old popular artists like Da Vinci and all the other likes of him, what they used to do was they used to create commercial art which would sell, right? Because they had to have a source of income to keep continuing making art. But what they would be most passionate about were their personal projects, which they were okay if it was sold or if it wasn't, and but they would focus on commercial part of it by selling or by creating what sells, as compared to worrying about, okay, I've created this, now I've put my heart and soul in this, and this has a lot of value to me personally, but you cannot expect the other person to value it exactly. All right, so I think like, of course, it takes time to practice disassociation and the disattachment from your art, but I think if you practice that, it's going to really help you in the long run. So yeah, first of all, define whom you want to sell to, what is your target audience, because people are always going to find it expensive no matter what. And second, try to not get attached to your work, and also create what sells. If you want to add to the commercial aspect of it, I mean, that is what I would do. I'm sorry, I'm giving out advice which was not the purpose, but so yeah, this is something that I would do. I think I find peace with that. For example, for murals, I have to design murals according to the client's requirement, but there is a style of murals that I want to try out, and that is something that I want to do. I'm not sure if there are going to be buyers or anything like that, but that is something that really excites me and I find real value in it as an artist. So that I take up on my personal time and on my personal projects. Like for example, the mural that you see in the background, yeah, that is, I've done it for my personal project. And yeah, if somebody is interested in hiring me for this kind of work, good enough. But this also satisfies my inner itch of an artist and allows me to have my own personal style and also a commercial style, because I want to make money out of it. So yeah, that's how I approach it. I hope it makes any sense to you. And if you have any follow-up question, you can comment below the video and I'll try to take it up in the next one. All right. Let's move on to the next one. Oh, that just got me thinking, so I took that pause. Anyways, so question 2 is by Subia. So of course you'll understand why I've picked up this question. So she's like, "Hi Simran, hope you're doing amazingly well. Before sharing my problems or challenges, I would like to appreciate your work and the way you work. I'm a huge fan. I really love what you do and how you do. Half of my problems get their solutions through your page and helpful YouTube videos, and I love your blogs. It is super easy to understand, and a huge respect to you because you're so patient with your work. I can see it in your artworks." Thank you so much, Subia. So see how happy this makes me. I'm sure you must send me messages and you feel like कि अरे इसको क्या फर्क पड़ता होगा, but every time I read such messages, it's just, it makes it makes my day, and I'm like, I get so excited about things. So yeah, anyways, so she's asked, "The problem I face is I can't explain things in a proper way. I mean, my thoughts are not clear when I speak or teach. Also, I want to practice and work daily because I really love what I do, but I am extremely lazy. Help, please. Love you. Bye." All right. Great question, Subia. I think a lot of other people will be struggling from this. In fact, I mean, even I struggle with this. So I'll just share what I do. So for answering, what I've done is I've divided your problem statement into two parts. So the first part is where I'm going to discuss where you have mentioned that the problem I face is I can't explain things in a proper way. I mean, my thoughts are not clear when I speak or teach. So let me tell you, Subia, this is a skill, and so when I say that this is a skill, this is something that you can develop. It is not a talent which people are born with. It's not like only a certain kind of people can sing, right? It is a skill which gets better and better only when you keep training. So what I do is I practice a lot. For example, let's say if I have to write a blog. So writing a blog requires a lot of thought on structure, on how you want to present your idea, how unique is it, so that the reader doesn't feel like it has been taken from another blog, and also offer my unique perspective to it. Now that doesn't come to me naturally. Like, it doesn't come like, oh, I sit down and just write. No, it doesn't happen that way. For me to write a detailed blog, it usually takes around 2 weeks. And why 2 weeks is because I kind of divide it into parts. For example, I would first decide on the topic that I want to write about, a broad topic, and then I would list down the pointers that I would want to include loosely, whatever is coming to my mind in the first go, that okay, this is what can be included. Then I take some time, then I'll start adding a loose structure to it, kind of define a direction in which I want to take the blog, and then I start adding content to it, and then keep refining it, and this takes a lot of time. Like, I would do one step, then take a step back, think through it, leave it for the subconscious also to process, and then wake up the next day, have some more ideas, add on to it, build up on it. And yeah, so basically Yeah, that's how I do it. And it's not something that just comes to people like that. Like I said, it is a skill, so you have to keep practicing to develop it. That is what I do. uh, you know I set out time periods where I am working uninterruptedly, because for a thought to come and for you to be able to process it, you should have like that uninterrupted period of time. For example, so I read this book called Deep Work, and I totally recommend it. So it talks about the same thing, right? If you are occupied with 10 thoughts in your mind, then if you sit down to work on something, then what happens is you only get like surface level thoughts, and that is what is basically like pretty average, and that is what you end up doing. But let's say you sit down and you keep mulling over that thought. You get to the depth of it, and that happens only when you're uninterrupted. So what I do is I set out time periods for myself. For example, I usually wake up by 4 o'clock in the morning, and 4 to 7 I block that time for either thinking or doing some deep work, where I require that uninterrupted span of time where I don't use any social media. I Of course, nobody is going to call me at that hour, and in general there is a lot of silence in the environment. Like there's no traffic on the roads and stuff. So it just allows you to get into that zone. At least for me, that helps. And I also believe that that time period is also called the Brahma Muhurat, which is the creator's time. So yeah, I mean, that's how I do it, that's how I approach it. Like I said, it's a skill that can be very easily developed if you keep working on it and also keep practicing, and you will get better and better at it, and your thoughts will have more clarity. Yeah, with time, of course. uh, I'll just add, I just saw something from my notes, so I'll add on to it. Is it's like it's like training your mental muscle. For example, when you exercise, let's say for example, if you want to go for a run, or you want to run a marathon, it's not like on the first day you will be able to run, but you'll have to practice and train for a marathon to be able to run 21 kilometers or 42 kilometers on that day. Same is the case here, that you have to your mind will have a lot of resistance when you'll sit down. 10 thoughts will start to come and everything. But if you sit down and start practicing deep work, you're also training that mental muscle ki acha, if I'm sitting in this time period, I am not going to think anything, I'm just only going to think about this one thought that I want to process and filter and create something out of it. So it's also training your mental muscle. So yeah, I hope this helps. This is something that I practice, and that is what I'm sharing with you. I hope it doesn't sound like advice, because that is the last thing that I would want to do. uh, yeah. Also, for example, like write down your thoughts. Again, I'm kind of repeating my point, but like, let's say for example, for this video, right, I was not sure, because there are a lot of distractions. For example, I have to worry about, okay, where the camera is placed, is the mic properly working or not, or what is going to be the flow, if background is looking fine or not. There are a lot of distractions, and on that I have decided to also talk freely, to think through while doing all of these things. So what I did was, I made some notes here, so that I can, if I just get distracted or if I think that I'm missing out on something, I can quickly refer to this and then get back on track. So this is something that I also do for my workshops also, even though I have like taught them for a very long period of time. I memorize, but I also leave room and also make notes, so that I can quickly refer to make sure that I have not left anything. I have that clarity of thought. And yeah, just don't expect it to come naturally to you. It is a skill. Just teach yourself that, practice it, and I'm sure it will come. So yeah, I hope I was able to answer your question, and thanks for asking. It was quite a good question. All right, let's move to the part two of your challenge, which is that also I want to practice and work daily because I really love what I do, but I am extremely lazy. Help, please. Uh, I understand you. I mean, I understand that you want to practice your art daily, but you feel like you are lazy. What has helped? I mean, I'm guilty of that too, and I can relate that, then the guilt starts to build up. Ki I'm not doing it daily. I should be. I know that it comes with practice and all of those things, right? And then you feel like you're lazy, and then you start telling yourself that you are lazy, like other people are able to do it but you are the one who's lazy. And then you start that negative loop in your mind that you're just lazy, dude. But honestly, what I've experienced for myself is that it's not about being lazy, right? I mean, there must be a lot of things that you would do so much better than others and so much quickly than others, and then I realized that what is missing is the purpose. For example, uh, and this is true for anything, is what I have observed is that if I don't understand why I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm not very inclined towards doing it, and that is true for, I think, everyone. uh, for example, like I was part-time working as a social media manager, and I was not very fond of that job or anything. And then one day I just started cribbing. Like, I'm like, what is this? They keep sending this many changes and they don't have any idea about social media marketing. They've hired me as the expert, and now they want to just get their way done. And then when the results are going to come, and they are like, they're going to be like, what happened, and all of that. So I was getting a little annoyed, and then I sat down and I asked myself, okay, why am I doing this job? If it is making me so annoyed, why am I doing this job? So then I realized that it gives me a fixed source of income, which I need, which kind of gives me a lot of mental peace. It helps me to pay my bills, my rent, grocery. It allows me to hang out with my friends once in a while. And then I kind of understood the purpose behind it, and immediately my attitude changed, and I was like, yeah, I mean, no, this is a great job. I definitely want to do it. And from there my attitude changed, and I started enjoying more of that work. So anytime, for example, for calligraphy or anything, also if I feel like I haven't practiced for long or anything, I just ask myself, okay, what is my purpose? Now, what is my purpose? If I don't have a purpose, I am not very motivated to practice. For example, let's say if you set a goal for yourself that by the end of next year you have to release a calendar. I'm assuming that you do calligraphy. So let's say by the end of the next year, you set your purpose that you want to sell calendars and earn money out of it. Now you have that purpose in mind that, okay, by the end of next year I have to do this. So from now on, I will start working on my calligraphy, because what you'll do now, you have a purpose or a goal, you'll backtrack and start dividing that bigger goal into smaller pieces, achievable pieces, and start working on them. If it's open ended, right, you were just practicing calligraphy just for the sake, hoping someday someone would hire you, then yeah, you are bound to lose interest. It's not like you are lazy, it's just that uh, you don't have a purpose right now. You haven't figured out and sat down with yourself to ask, okay, why is it that I want to do calligraphy? So uh, yeah, and it's okay if you're not able to find a purpose. That is also fine, because then that tells you that you don't have to pursue this particular art just mindlessly, maybe you can focus on your energy on finding some other art which gives you more purpose. And when you have purpose, it gives you passion. People always talk about, oh, this is my passion and this is what I do, and other people feel like, oh, one day, this passion will hit me, and but till then I have to keep finding it. I find it a bit odd. I don't agree with this approach, because for me, it is about finding purpose. Once you find your purpose, which is basically why you want to do what you want to do, automatically that passion comes. And yeah, that is what I do. I always ask myself, why am I doing what I'm doing? And if I don't get a good answer, I feel like, okay, yeah, that gives me the reason that I'm not able to continue with this. But if I give myself a purpose, if I'm able to find a purpose, I remind myself of the purpose, I am able to pursue it with a better attitude. And yeah, that is what helps me. I hope that helps you too also, and let me know if it does. So yeah, all right, we are 2 questions down, and I hope it is going good so far with you. Now let's move on to the third question. I'm going to answer 4 questions altogether. So yeah, let's move on to the third question. Oh, this is a simple one. So they wanted to be anonymous. I don't know why, but they've asked how to do pricing of a calligraphy piece. So I'm not going to answer this in detail here, because I have a detailed ass blog on this. I will link it in the description also, but please go to my website, go to my blog. There is a huge ass piece on how to price your artwork, and it has some tremendous, like, amazing techniques that I've shared with you. Also, why I picked up this question is because I also want to tell you an example of what kind of questions I am expecting from you. So the previous 2 questions, you saw that they were so personal and they were so detailed, and they allowed for good conversations to happen. And by conversation, I mean that this should be a two-way communication. But this how to do pricing of a calligraphy piece is so open-ended. If you would have shared that I'm struggling with this one particular pricing wala thing, then I would have been able to share my perspective. But this is a very broad thing, open-ended thing that you have shared. But I will still help you because I'm a good person. And the answer to this question you will find on my blog. So please go there. Okay. All right. So moving to the last and final question. Again, they wanted to be anonymous. Anyways, I'll read out the question. So it is, not being very sociable, there are not many contacts that I could create for my art business. Although people appreciate the work tremendously, it is difficult to convert them into clients. All right. So what I have seen in my experience is that appreciation means nothing. Okay, all these likes and comments or messages, it's great to have it, but if you want to like commercially pursue it, they really mean nothing, because at the end of the day they are not your clients, right? And the number of people who appreciate will always be 100 times more than the people who would actually end up investing in your art, your business, or whatever service you are selling. So don't take that as a measure that people appreciate it. Sometimes people do it just to be polite. I mean, so yeah, it's not like they want to be evil and they just want to appreciate you even if you're doing shitty work, and but not buy it, and then you are wondering, oh, they're appreciating, but why aren't they buying? It's not like that. It's just that sometimes people want to be polite. That could be one reason. So yeah, don't take it like a linear graph ki acha these many people are appreciating, so these many people will also buy. That's never the case. Now at the same time, you've also given the solution to your challenge, which is in the first part you have mentioned that you're not very sociable, or I'll say you're not very social, and that is why you haven't made many contacts that you could create for your art business. So that is there. That is the solution that you have already given. So, but you're also giving a reason that you're not very social. Trust me, I am an introvert. I don't like to socialize as often. I have a very very small social capacity, to be very honest. But I also know that for me to grow as a person, and also for my business to grow, uh, who are who are going to be your clients? People, right? Not a plant or a sofa or a laptop is going to buy your stuff, right? At the end of the day, you want to sell it to people, whatever you are creating. So if you don't connect with them, I'm not saying that you have to become an extrovert to do that, but I feel like I'm sharing my personal experience, trying not to go in the advice mode. If you don't connect with people, then you're basically living in a shell. And what I have seen is that people don't buy services, but they like to buy something more, like acha, they are buying like a part of this person's imagination, and things like that. This is something that, honestly, this is something that even I struggled with, I'm still struggling with. But I also keep pushing myself, because I know that this is necessary. And being an introvert, right, it's difficult. So but like I said, it is required for you to grow as a person, for your business to grow. Also, when I say connect, it doesn't mean that you have to connect with a person from the purpose of generating business from them. If you do that, that's a poor approach, in my opinion. That is what I've also come to realize through discussions with other people, is that it's you connect with people just for the sake of connection, just for understanding, just for getting to know them. It might turn out into a business relation, it might not. uh, but yeah, it's going to help you anyways. For example, I'll share this with a story. I feel like I'm going round and round with this thing, beating around the bush. So I had attended this once I was, I think, in 11th, or I think I was in my 12th standard, and Chetan Bhagat had come to Kota. I'm from Kota, and he had delivered a lecture over there. And he shared that when he was in IIT, he had gone for an internship uh, to some sort of plant. It was a power plant, or some sort of manufacturing plant. And he was given the problem to solve some sort of issue. The plant, some particular thing was not working, and he was asked to come up with a solution for that. And so he was very worried. Okay, he had no idea. This was the first time that he had visited a plant, and he was just a college student, and he had no idea. But so he went out for a walk in the evening. And he found a watchman, like a guard kind of person, there hanging around. And he just started talking to him like that, अरे भैया ये वो यहाँ पे, just to try to understand अच्छा about the plant and everything. And while talking, he gave him the solution, कि इसमें ऐसे कर देंगे ना तो ऐसा हो जाएगा, but ये इनको समझ नहीं आता है, something like that. And then he was like, I found out the solution at a place where it was least expected to, right? So yeah, that is what I intend to say. Don't connect with people from the purpose of getting business out, but just connect with the people for the sake of getting to know them. And this will come back to you and your business in some way or the other. You will form good connections, basically. I'll share another story on that. So when I had quit my job, I joined a co-working space. I joined the same co-working space in which my previous company was working. So I joined the same co-working space back, simply for the reason that if I would just sit in my home and work, I would get to know nobody would get to know me, and I will just be in my shell. So I was like, okay, that's not a good approach. So I joined that co-working space, and I would just hang out with, and I had no expectations, right? I had no expectations somebody would give me a job there. I mean, I was not even looking for jobs. I was conducting calligraphy workshops at the time, right? And I would like hang out with people during tea time, during lunch, and I made a friend over there, and he was working with an AI company. All right. And so coming back to my calligraphy business, so at that time the workshops were not doing that great, like not many people were showing up, and I was not earning a lot, and I was constantly stressed out because of that. And I was thinking that okay, maybe I should get some sort of part-time job. And at that time I only knew UI UX designing, so I was like, okay, maybe I should start looking for jobs on a part-time basis, so that at least they'll cover my fixed cost. Then what happened. So this friend of mine who was working with the other company, he came to me and he was like, would you be interested in doing social media marketing? Because our company is looking for somebody who would do social media marketing, and I suggested your name because I've seen what you've done with your social media. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. I never thought that I could also do social media. And he was like, so he fixed a meeting with the founder, and I talked to him. They liked my work, they liked my approach and everything, and we got started. And then I worked with them for a year, and that's how I got an opportunity. So I mean, it's not always that you form connections just from a business point of view, but just connect with people, and it will definitely come back to you in some way or the other. So yeah, that is what I have realized over my course, and this is something that I keep reminding myself time and again. So yeah, that's it. It's been quite a long episode, right? I was not planning on it to be so long. I mean, I had other questions too, but like I said, I'll them up in the next episode of this podcast, Art by Art with Simran. And if you don't like the name, just let me know. But if you don't like it, you all have to also suggest me then good names. All right. Okay. Anyways, please let me know how you like it, and also if you also want to share your challenges, your questions, some follow-up questions from what we discussed today. Please share them in the comments below, and then I'll pick them up and I'll share them in the next video. All right, thank you so much for bearing with me. Hope to see you soon. Hope you like this episode, and ta-da, bye-bye.